Good start. Hello YouTube. I said in my last video that I'd be doing a video on my opinion on the Bujin support cards at the moment, and looking over them, there's actually quite a few. So in here I've got the cards I think are relevant, the ones I don't think are relevant, and the cards yet to be released. So let's just start. So Yamato, in my opinion, and most others, he's the heart and soul of the deck, so you pretty much always run 3 of this guy no matter what. Unless of course you don't have them, then you need to try and get one as soon as possible. Then you come to Mikazuchi. Some people play 3, others play 2. In my opinion, 2 is better, but that's because in my build I only run 1 Bujin whatever spell or trap, so there's not much room to search. So I'd mainly just use him as like death fodder for Yamato. So that's why I only run 2. But in builds where you run like the sword and more copies of this, then I can see why people run 3. The sword is a really iffy card at the moment in my opinion. Some people like it, others people don't. I'm kind of on the fence. In my really early stages of this deck I was using it, and it was helpful. It allowed me to recycle my turtles, cranes, add Yamatos back to my hand. But in the end I just decided to drop it and just for other cards that I felt would be more relevant throughout the entire duel rather than in certain situations. So it's a card where it's a matter of opinion really. Now, Bujin Incarnation. I love this card, but I only play 1, and the reason is I don't want to have it dead. I like my deck because it's consistent, and this card isn't always consistent, because there'll be times where you'll have it in your hand but no banished Bujins, which can be a real pain, especially if you get shut down early with an Imperial Iron Wall or Light Mirror or Necro Valley or something, which sucks. So that's why I only play 1, and I can search of Mikazuchi, which is fun. So yeah, it's a really good card, so I would never play it in 3, but 1 or 2 seems good. Bujini Centipede. Before the event 2 weeks back now, or last week, or sometime, I was not playing any Centipede, but I decided that on like the night before that I'd be facing decks with more spell and trap cards, so I'd want to search for MST pretty much. So I decided to put him in, and he definitely did his work. So I currently only play 1. I might bump it up. I'm going to see how I feel about it. Do a bit more testing. So yeah, I'd recommend running him in either 1 or 2 copies in your builds. Plus 1700 attack isn't that bad. And here we have Honest, aka Crane. This card is fun, and everyone hates you when you say damage calculation, drop Crane. So he's the extra copies of Honest. I play 3 of him, and I personally would not play any less just because of how good he is. Because you can use him with Yamato, Mikazuchi, or your XYZ guys, so yeah. But the only reason I can see you wouldn't play 3 is if you're playing some of the other hand traps like Crow or whatever. Raven I think it is. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah, so in my opinion you run 3 unless you're playing the other weird ones, so yeah. Next along the list we have Bujini Crow, and he's one I'm not too familiar with, so I'm just going to go over his effect. So targeted by an attack, send it from your hand to graveyard, negate, and if you do inflict damage to your opponent. So it's another tactic to try and save your field, and more importantly I think it's to prevent OTKs. So you can negate the attack, which is always good, and you've got the burn damage, which can be dirty on time. But I just feel that Crane is better because it gets rid of the problem attacking monster that's trying to beat over it. So this card's going to come down to personal preference in my opinion. Some people will say it's really good, you should run it. I'm on the fence with it, so I don't run any. So I'd say between 0, 1 or 2. Any of those. Again, 3 is no. Just don't bother with that, trust me. I've not tested it, but effect's just not worthwhile enough. You might as well just run a Swift Scarecrow if you're afraid of OTKs. And next along the list we have Ibis. I've seen a few people use it, but I don't like it. Cool. Piercing. Now what? Do damage. Cool. Now what? It's not worth it. I'd put this guy. Oh, go away. So Ibis and this guy, who I'm not going to try to say his name yet, in the same boat. Just dirty wins on time. Anyway, then we've got Quillen. Before the event I was running 2 copies of this, but I decided to take one out for Centipede, and I don't regret that decision at all. In testing I found I'd have it engraved but nothing to pop because it wasn't worthwhile. People were setting stuff and I just didn't find anything worthwhile, so I took it down to 1, put a Centipede in its place, and it worked fine. But yeah, so I'd run between 1 and 2 copies of this guy, simply because it's a free face-up pop. Only downside, you need to be Story Bujin. But yeah. Then we've got Raven, so yeah. It's similar to Crane, but less damage involved, because you destroy the monster. So I just think Crane's better in pretty much every way, because Crane stops your monster from being destroyed ideally. Whereas Raven means it has to be destroyed and then you get your destruction effect. But Crane boosts your attack, destroys it anyway, and you keep your monster, so that's just my opinion, so I personally wouldn't run any. And then we get to the Turtle of Safety, Bujins Turtle. I've nicknamed this guy the Turtle of Safety, and I run 3 copies, and in my current build with the current support, I would not run any less. He is your go-to defense card and everyone hates him, because he stops so many effects. Unfortunately you've always got the stupid Spellbook of Fates, which just make you cry in a hole. But yeah, so I personally run 3 and I wouldn't run any less for the time being. Then I'm going to go on to cards which are less relevant for like this section here. Start off with Warg. While this card is face up defense position, other Bujins can't be destroyed by card effects. So in other words, he needs to be set, basically, because of his low attack stat, and he needs to be face up, so you'd have to try and flip him face up, summon him, but I just don't think it's worth it spending time to try and get this guy face up to then set up your plays, when you should just try to set up your plays and set up defense. I just don't think he's worth it. 19 defense isn't bad though, I'll give him that. And then we have Wolf. Other Bujins pretty much cannot be destroyed by battle. That's a good effect, but you've got Crane. Ideally, you're not going to be worried about doing destroyed in battle because you should ideally have Crane, or Honest. So yeah, that's why I don't use him. And 2k defense, that's good, I'll give him that, but yeah, I don't see it being worth it. Yeah, then we have the Mirror. Start from main phase 1, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, and you control a Beast Warrior type Bujin, until the end of your opponent's next turn, spell, trap cards, and their effects cannot be activated. I see why this card is good, but it's kind of conditional and it's a real pain in the ass. So, at the start of your main phase 1, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, I'm sorry I'm rereading again, I'm trying to remind myself because I actually don't use this one. So, until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you use it your turn, then they have a turn with no spells and traps, and then you can use yours again. So ideally that doesn't sound too bad, but you need your face up Beast Warrior and your opponent needs to control more monsters than you do. That's where it gets iffy, because if they have more monsters than you, then you're not shutting them down efficiently in my opinion, so it's going to slow you down. So in my opinion, I guess you could go activate the Mirror. So you see you've got Yamato there, like 2 monsters, summon Yamato, so activate this, summon Yamato, and then activate Tensen, or if you use those, try and make a big play that turn. But I can see why it's good, but I might try it because I personally not read over this one properly, and that's bad of me, oopsie daisy. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to have to require testing, so you could run 0-1. I wouldn't run any more than that. Personally, you could side a few more if you really wanted it. Anyway, moving on. because I think I'm an idiot for not running this now the more I read it. But oh well. Don't do what I do. Learn. So next we have Bujin Fidel. Now this card I do know because other people have played it and they've used it as a dodge. Tribute 1 Beast Warrior type Bujin monster, then target a Bujin monster with a different name in your graveyard. Special summon it. Yeah, personally don't run it. There's no point. Yeah, just please don't run this one. If you can find a good use for it that's actually worthwhile in multiple situations, then yeah, fill me in. But until that time, I wouldn't bother using any. Bujinjibo. Again, I wouldn't bother using it because it has to be in your graveyard, which is similar to most of your Bujinis, but then its effect isn't worthwhile and you'd just rather have everything else. Yeah. Oh, cool, kill the defense position, now what? So yeah, that's my bet with him, don't run him. As I said earlier, cool, dirty win on time. In the very, very, very early stages of this deck, I was using that in my side deck and I sneaky sided it in on time because I had the room for it and I didn't have a proper side deck. And yeah, I got dirty wins with it and it was funny. But yeah, I wouldn't bother, there's other cards to use. So yeah, run 0. And then we'll move on to Ibis. Piercing. Cool. No. Move on. And here we have cards that are yet to be released, and I believe most of these are being released in the new set. So I'm hoping to get a few of these in my new boxes. Now he's interesting. He's got 19 defense, he's a Beast Warrior, and he can draw a card, but that's not what I care about. I don't care about the draw or discard effect. This is what I care about. If a Bujin monster you control or is in your graveyard is banished, you can special summon this card from your hand and face up defense position. So I can see lots of more viable plays being brought out by this, because you could summon Yamato, banish Quilin, Centipede, or if they try to do something Turtle, and then that means you can then summon this guy, because I can't pronounce his name, Arasuda? Ooh, Arasuda. So summon him and then easy go for a Susanoo. So yeah, I'm probably only going to run one of him because I don't see him being as versatile. So I might run 3 Yamato, 1 Mikazuchi, 1 Arasuda, but I'll see how it goes. Testing will be required. So yeah, 1 or 2 I reckon of him. Really got Regalia the Magatama. Target 1 rank for XYZ you control, gains 300 attack, for each material. Watch that, if this card equipped by its own effect, you can attach a Bujin monster from your hand. Yeah, I just don't see this being worthwhile. Unless you use Susanoo, attach a Centipede from your hand, pitch it to the graveyard and blow up a Mirror Force, but I don't feel that card's going to be worthwhile and there's other trap cards I'd rather use. Hair. This is a card I really do want. During either player's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Beast Warrior type Bujin you control, in other words Yamato. And once during this turn, that monster can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. And that's only once per turn. So in other words, he's your turtle for destruction effects. So he stops you from getting targeted, stops you from being destroyed. This is what this deck really needed in my opinion, because TT, Mirror Force, Dark Hole, those cards are so painful. So many times people have just gone first turn Dark Hole and I just cry in a hole of sorrow and despair. So yeah, this card hopefully is going to stop that. 17 attack, that's not bad either. Bit odd how Turtle has a lot more defense than it, but yeah, I personally like it. I'm going to try and run 2 in my build. Moving on, we have a Fox. I had a look at this guy. During either player's turn, you can banish the card from the graveyard, then send 1 Bujin monster from your hand to the graveyard. You take no damage for the rest of the turn. It's not a bad effect. It's got a good defense at 2100, so it's a good set. But then, other than that, it's not real worthwhile. You can stall for a turn, put something in your graveyard, for example, Turtle or Hare. But yeah, so I can see that being, again, it's more of a stall card than anything. And I'd rather just get my plays and I'd rather have cards that give me my plays than have cards that stall until I get them by luck, if you see what I mean. So yeah, I personally won't run him, or I might try 1 and see how it goes, but yeah. Awesome this. Oh wow, 15 minutes. Sorry guys. During your main phase 2, you can send this card from your hand to your graveyard, add one Bujin monster from your deck to your hand. You cannot activate other cards and effects during the turn you activate except Bujin cards and effects. Now, a Searcher. Ooh, 1800 attack, not bad, but ideally, I doubt you're ever going to summon him. First thing to note, has to be main phase 2, so that's a pain. So you can't search something and then attack, which sucks. So you can't search Yamato, summon Yamato, attack with Yamato. Bad example, but yeah. You can send it to graveyard, add a Bujin monster from your deck to your hand. Good. No complaints. Add Yamato, Mikazuchi, Centipede, not sure why, Crane, Turtle if you want to pitch it, or yeah. So it can search, I'm pretty sure it can search any one of those, unless I can't play the game. Now we get to another downside. You cannot activate other cards and effects during the turn you activate this effect, except Bujin cards and effects. So otherwise, it's locking you down hard. So you need to make sure that you do all your other plays first before you do your search. Wait, would that even work? No, you can't even do that, so you can't even make other plays. So you've got to be focused around your Bujins that turn. So no cheeky compulses, no cheeky MSTs, nothing like that, no cheeky upstarts or dualities. You've just got to go for, okay, Peacock, search. And it limits your plays so much, which is unfortunate. And if you attack and are forced to lance and you can't search as well, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So yeah, that sucks. I'm probably going to run 2 due to the restrictions and not 3. But yeah, so I'd run 2 to 3 of this card. Bujin Swallow. You can send this card from your hand to graveyard, then target one Bujin monster you control. That monster can make a second attack. Yeah, I'm not going to bother using this, and I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, you can give Yamato 2 attacks, but or for example anyway, but I don't see that being worthwhile unless you're trying to go for game. So yeah, I personally wouldn't use it. It's not going to be worthwhile. Now, this is one of the more interesting cards. If you control no other cards, so you've got to have an empty field, shuffle all Beast Warrior type Bujin monsters in your graveyard into your deck and discard your entire hand. Then you can add from your deck to your hand up to 3 Beast Warrior type Bujin monsters with different names. Yeah, up to 3 as well, with different names. You can only activate this once per turn. Now this is a very interesting card, because even if you have only one card in hand, for example a Centipede, you can activate this, put in your Yamato Mikazuchi's, whatever it's called, Arasudas back into your deck, and pitch whatever card. It's entire hand, so I guess you can only have one card in hand and just go pitch this. It's like, cool, summon something, banish Centipede, special summon Arasuda. Even if they have TT, you've still got your Mikazuchi backup, so you could easily go for a rank 4 play as well off this card. So yeah, it's really strong in my opinion. Again, I'm probably only going to run 1, simply because in the same boat as him, it won't always be live. But yeah, that's a really strong card. And I'm going to quickly go on to the extra deck stuff. Bujin Kagutsushi. So basically, he can be quite strong if you're running lots of Bujins. I've only ever got a maximum of 2, because my build isn't that heavy. But the main effect you use it for is... oh, that's a thing. So, I'll just go to a different page. Let's see. Oh, scroll. So, enjoy this page. Sorry about that, guys. Ta-da! So, time to have a look at this nice lovely page. So, Kagutsushi. Use him, Maestro, stop being destroyed, can be a nice attacker. That's all my 2 cents. I only use 1, that's all I'm ever going to use. He's not that good. Susanoo, currently run 2, will probably run 3 when the new support comes out. He's your go-to XYZ. If you're going for something else, you'd better have a good reason why, because more often than not, Susanoo is just going to be the better play in most situations. And I will actually have to look up the new one. Sorry about this, guys. So unprofessional. Bujin XYZ. Ta-da! Bujin! Da-da-da-da. Tsukiyomi, there he is. And if you're gonna dislike this video for this, go right ahead, it's my own fault. Ta-da! There we go. Sorry about that again. So, 2 level 4 lights, so any of your Bujins can do this. But then, looking at his stats, 18 to 23, so he's more likely going to be your defensive option. Now let's get into his effect, because I've not read this yet, so first time for everyone. Once per turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, send all the cards in your hand to the graveyard, minimum of 1, then draw 2 cards. When this card with XYZ materials leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can target a number of level 4 Bujin Beast Warrior type monsters in your graveyard, up to the number of XYZ materials that were attached to this card, special summon those targets. It's not a bad effect. You could easily get +1 from this. So, because detach material, send all the cards in your hand to the graveyard, draw 2. So that's going to be a good effect. But what I have noticed is the 2 level 4 light, so I can see this card being very splashable. Simply because of the send card to graveyard, draw 2. So it's pretty much a free draw 2 for any card deck which runs lights, which is really cool. And if your opponent decides to, bottomless it on the summon, it's going to have 2 XYZ materials, so you can target 2 level 4 Beast Warriors in your graveyard, special summon the bag, so that's going to be really bad play on their part. So yeah, it's going to be a really strong way for recycling your Bujins. So I'm definitely going to run one of these, maybe 2 if I feel the need. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the current support and the support we will be getting. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, even though I got really screwy towards the end because DN. So yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye. If you have any questions, go right ahead, and if you dislike, I will cry in a hole of despair. Goodbye, have a good day.